All right, we are going to cut Miley out a little quick there, but Alex, I had to do that for you. So thank you everybody for being here. It's amazing how when I ask you to turn your cameras on, how many of you guys listen. Like we should do this every team meeting, like. um, so thank you guys all for being here. We have a few other people kind of trickling in here, but we are going to get started. Also, this is being recorded. So you can't leave early, but this will be posted on our YouTube channel, hopefully at some point within the next 24 hours. So find us there for that. We're just going to get right into it here. So, everybody, please welcome Alex. He is with a Keller Williams office in Nashville, Tennessee. So, Midwestern like us. And he is coming on here to talk to us about luxury. He started the luxury division in his market center. He is a luxury agent, and we've connected so that he can come in here and share all of his tips and tricks and all the goods with all of you guys. Alex, you know more about you than I do. So, do you want to give a quick who you are, what you do, and then we can just go right into this?
Yes, we'll jump right into it. I'm thrilled to be here. And I'll say first and foremost, the most important thing is you're spending time away from your friends, your family, your business, right, to be here. So this is all about you, right? We're going to talk a little bit about, this path to luxury. This is a class that I came up with several other friends across the country. But, this is, about helping dispel some of the myths. So it's going to be a fun thing. It's going to be participatory and fun. And how quite literally, as we've talked about, we're in a non-traditional luxury market. It's really fun for me to be at luxury events and talking with these people in New York and their $12 million listing, and I'm like, well, that buys two or three houses in Nashville. And so we'll talk about some of those things for sure as we get into this. But I've got a couple things to show that we're qualified in our path to luxury, how we took our sales price from 250 to over 600,000 and $1 million transaction every single month. And we'll give you those real steps. It's gonna be fun. You ready to go? Ready, set?
Sorry, I am ready if you are ready, and you should
Oh
have
yeah.
screen sharing capabilities. So I think we're good. And Alex
Mhm.
kind of asked the question before in the chat for those of you guys who are hopping on. He's taking notes as we go. So, what is the one thing you came here to learn? There's 42 of you on this call, and you all took some time out of your afternoon. So drop it in the comments. I'm sure he'll be picking on you, and I did hear that he picks on you if your camera isn't on. So there's that.
For
Alex,
sure.
it's yours.
Worse, if you aren't on camera and your mic's open, we will for sure haze you. That is a absolute thing we'll start doing, talking about there. But let's go to this one. Let me see if I can get it to click on here. We'll pick this one. And here we go. Screen sharing. Prezi. How do we look here? That pull that one primarily, or is it showing the whole screen?
It's still showing most of the screen.
Okay. Still showing most of the screen. Let me see if I can get it to pick the other screen share real quick. There we go. How's that? Good?
Perfect.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So, path to luxury. So, the class here, this is about us. This is why I didn't go into it because I knew this slide was coming. I've been a frequent international speaker at Family Reunion France on the main stage. I've done some talks at Family Reunion, Mega Camp, various other things. And this all started with me building our luxury committee. Several years ago at a family reunion, I went to. I did everything luxury and realized that Keller Williams literally has an unfair advantage in the platform that we have here, going through and showing the advantages that we have over the boutiques, the local, and even the other national franchises that are out there that are more traditionally luxury. So that's where all of this came from. So I founded our luxury committee, not one of the primary committees on our ALC. I was on growth, chaired growth and luxury for several years. Anyway, I've also been Southeast Luxury Award winner many times, MREA 6 times, and we're fighting for our 7th this year. We're right on the cusp. Hopefully this class and a great referral from this class earns us that final over the top closing. So no pressure, guys, but would love that help to win our 7th MREA, which is a great thing and the thing that we're most proud of. Our two favorite socials here, Bowtie Realtor, TN, and Nashville Notes on YouTube, two of our focuses in the past year, and places you can keep up with us. And then some examples of our clients. We have a relocation account that we work with an oil and energy executive that relocated, an attorney relocating from Miami to Nashville, a family selling a penthouse here in town. Believe it or not, yes, we have vertical living in Nashville. People get surprised by that, thinking it's all log cabins and horse farms, and that's not the case. We have quite a robust inventory of homes here. And then president of a nonprofit, organization buying a home here. So our company is in the top half of 1% of producers of realtors in the country. Our business is very heavy database. So what we're going to talk about today is a lot of database, a lot of relationships, a lot of people we know, like, and trust. So we're going to jump in and talk about that. We're in the top 1% of KW agents and across, North America. 6-time MREA. We've talked about one of the top 100 agents. That's a thing. That's an award as opposed to being just one of the top 100. And then 40 under 40 here locally. I'm sure you all have a journal as well. And then that Nashville Emerging Leader, that was the thing that with the board. So we're very involved in the community here. And some of the keys of what we do, we say things like this: whether you need us 6 days or 6 months from now, let's get together, get to know each other, and talk about your goals. That's why we're here, and how we do business. I think we go with that unfair advantage of connecting to people before they have a need, and then being the easy choice when things come around. So when the need does come up, and being a passionate, in leadership and guidance, one of the most critical and emotional transactions in a personal life, right? We're at a critical moment. It's where your family stays, right? And where you lay your head down, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal to be involved with folks in that moment. So we come to this part where we have adapted this to go through and really talk about, what did you come to learn today? So I'm a big believer in, when you're in moments like this, that it matters. It matters that you get what you came to get. So this is your opportunity to jump in and really either post in the chat. We'll take a second right now if someone really wants to talk, because I'm a talker. I'll be happy to say, hey, let's talk through a question or an objection or something that you really want to make sure you take away in our time together. So if you have something and you'd like to share it quickly, pop off on, unmute real quick, and let's talk about it. Not everybody at once. Slow down. Slow down. I was kidding. Everybody good? Anyone in the chat? You want to just stay in the chat? I can't believe it. We've got 40 plus realtors in the room, and I'm the only one that wants to talk. I love it. I love it. I'm okay with it. There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm on a team, and so when we have luxury clients, sometimes they want an open house, sometimes they don't. But if they do and nobody comes, that's kind of hard, and then you have to sit there and scramble why you think they didn't come, what didn't show well, and they love their home, right? So you've already gone through the pricing strategies and that kind of thing, but how do you get over that hump of telling them why nobody came to see their house, or why they didn't have any showings that week, even though you might have market data that shows that activity was down for that week, maybe in that price range, or we don't have, there's certain pockets of luxury in our counties, but
perfect.
Yeah.
We'll definitely talk about that, Debbie. No problem. Thanks for speaking up and saying so. Two more. Let's have two more.
Hi, this is Chris Case.
Hi, Chris.
I apologize. I'm putting makeup on because I'm going to a show soon, so,
Okay,
so I don't have my camera on. But
no problem.
So I have a friend of a friend who's going to be selling this coming May, and it's going to be at least $1 million home. So I want to meet with them. I've been in the business about 1.5 years. I'm almost at 25 houses sold, but I haven't sold one that high in price. So do you have any suggestions on how to interview? I mean, I want to get the opportunity to interview with them and the best selling points as far as standing out.
Sure. How to stand out. Got it. We'll go through this. I'll jump through. And then, like you say, our whole format here is to give you some good ideas to kind of stir some stuff up. And then we'll go through the chat. We'll come back to the chat and make sure we answer all the questions. Is that cool? Anyone else? One last one? Someone dying to say so? Somebody's thinking about it. All right, we can go through. Let's see. Tips when working with a luxury client, how to maintain and gain luxury clients and buy or sell. Yep, we'll talk about all that. Luxury advertising. I see that in the chat. Great. Thank you for that. What's the difference between working with a luxury client and a non-luxury client? That's a great one, Elizabeth. Love that. That's really important because there is a difference. Okay, let's get started. Ready, set? Here we go. So let me move the chat for just a second. Okay, got it. And back to here. So what did you come to learn? And one more. Here we go. Boom. So part of starting in luxury, and one of the things that we did in our path was preparing for luxury. And I've got a lot of fun stories that I'll share with you with classes and teaching this throughout the country. Like I said, I've had the good fortune of teaching all over from both sides of the coast. I've taught in Maui and Lyon, France, and Maine and Atlanta, and just all over the place. Now, Cleveland. And I'm thrilled to do that because you all are one of my passions, because we're a traditional non-luxury market, right? However, we have luxury, and luxury is local. So one of the things you start on your path is preparing to be a luxury agent. A key to that is some of the language. Now, one of the ways to do that is reading. I'm a big book advocate, and this was one of them that we believe in. The affluent customer. We'll have quite a few book recommendations. We'll have quite a few podcasts and even some webinars that we'll recommend to you as we go through this. But this was one, the affluent customer, and it starts to talk about thinking about a different experience, right? Thinking about other luxury experiences that our clients that are luxury are accustomed to having. And again, something that I think is really important to share is luxury is local, right? That's one of my favorite things is to really realize that it has a local influence. It has a local spin to it. And so this book in particular, affluent customers typically have a very strong self-image. They maintain a favorable self-image by accepting experiences that promote the self-image. So for example, they are mindful of what their image is, right? Of their own self-image, and they're very mindful of what aligns and what doesn't align. We have had picked up a client a few years ago because somebody went and picked them up to do a showing in a car that was dirty, inside and out, and they had their dog with them in the back. Yeah, I mean, are you kidding? Like I mean, I have a dog and I love him, and he is less than 10 feet from me. However, he does not go, on showings unless that's your particular niche. And you knew that other person was particularly tied, to a dog or what have you. But that's a true thing, right? They didn't want to get in the car and get dog hair on and get, that person fired that realtor and hired someone else, that was a better match, which was us, so a question, think about it. What do you think an affluent customer, might tarnish their image, right? Getting out of the car, if they're pressed and dressed and, working in a commercial office building, they probably don't want to come back, tarnished, right? Their clothes tarnished, their, any of it, right? The smell, any of it. They're going to have to really have a good experience. Think about the kind of experiences and compare that, right? Think about that. What kind of experience do they have? If everyone says, well, I saw someone post earlier, I'm not a very luxurious person. Well, not every luxury transaction is super high luxury, right? It's not always the diamonds and the crystal and you know the silver serving trays and you know all of that. It's not always that, right? I could tell you with absolute confidence, the single biggest client that we've had is a billionaire. And the 23 times we were face to face with him, he is extremely private. And he wore the exact same clothes all 23 times we've been with him face to face. Exactly. Like Steve Jobs, exactly. And the gentleman is a Keller Williams agent that referred him and introduced us to him. I've spent more time with him face to face and belly to belly than he did, the guy that connected us. And you know, it's just about mirroring and matching who that is and who your luxury opportunity is. So along with this, right, you know, what do you think an affluent customer might enhance their image? So in this day and age, you know, we got to think about, you know, does this client want enormous and absolute discretion and privacy? Do they? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. You just don't know unless you ask. How private do you want this search, this relationship, this sale to be? We have a listing right now that's an exempt listing here in town. That's a $5 million listing. It's 11,000 feet. It's beautiful. It's a healthcare executive that owns it and wants it absolutely 100% privately marketed at a specific group of realtors that have clients in his price category. And he's doing that for multiple specific reasons. We've got that opportunity because he knows we have those relationships. And he's like, that's fine. Just update me as we go. No problem. I have reasons as to why I want to, you know, do this. So you got to think about what might enhance that. He likes custom, unique, personalized experiences, you know, whereas someone else might want all the flash in the world, right? Might want the car service that says, you know, hello, Mr. Smith. It's a pleasure to see you. You know, Alex is waiting to take you on showings right now. Come, you know, please, you know, do you have your bags? Let's go. You know, I mean, all of that stuff is very real. So anyway, thinking about what might enhance their experience. So what exactly is the definition of luxury? Two other nice books here that we recommend. The one right here, Selling Luxury Homes, is absolutely one of my favorites. I've had the privilege of talking to Jack several times and being at several live presentations that he does. It's an excellent, excellent book. In fact, I would highly recommend it being the first book as you're looking at and considering luxury. Now, I'll tell you this: I am a huge Amazon and thrift bookstore guy. It is very difficult to find this luxury book in a thrift bookstore. So if you find it, great. If you don't, just buy it new and get over it. Like it's $25, you know, and you know, go ahead and get it. I have only seen it on the used bookstore shelves like once, and in fact I've got it, it's right over there, and it doesn't have the jacket, but very rarely do you see that. And then this luxury listing specialist is another luxury expert in Chicago, a gentleman named Michael LaFido, and a friend that I know. And one of the reasons that I say luxury is local is everyone has a luxury market, right? There is a luxury market in every market. It's just different depending on where you might be based and your average sales price. So the definition I most commonly use for this conversation today is there's three real markets. There's the traditional market, which is the average sales price, right? Then you have high end, which is ultimately you know, they double, right? So taking your average sales price and doubling it. So from the median up to whatever double that is. And then 3 times the average sales price is ultimately luxury. So regardless of where you may be, if the average sales price was $100,000, then you would have that, you know, that high end, you know, would be between 100 and, you know, 200. And then luxury would start at 300,000. Does that make sense? I think that's an interesting thing. Thank you. I see some heads nodding. So that's powerful. Thank you for that. But I think that kind of brings it down, makes it approachable. That's something that I'm passionate about in this conversation, is making luxury approachable. Like, this is doable. And like, what is luxury? I don't know. Like, we immediately go, to the silver serving trays and the finger bowls and and those type things. And that's not necessarily always the case. That's one of the things we use. So our path to luxury, average our from over 250. We started this at 250 to a 700,000 average, and $1 million transaction every month. Now, one of the ways we did that was we were real intentional about where, how do you get to know the people, that are affluent, right? And where are they? So a couple of things that we started with is places that they like to be and share time. Now, I'll tell you this, be honest and authentic to yourself, right? Let's be real about your real opportunities. And we're going to talk about taking inventory in a minute, but these are some things for us locally. The Frist Art Museum is an art museum that we have here that has some really fabulous shows and lots of opportunity and events. They have several different clubs and volunteer opportunities that you can be a part of, but that's often where a lot of folks are. Nonprofits, American Heart Association has been one, a nice place. Other nonprofits that folks are interested in, or if they have opportunities for you to connect with, people that are passionately involved in helping lead and direct those things, as well as, help raise money and help host events. Great opportunities with sharing your time and those introductions that happen. This next one is clubs, right? Locally, whether you have country clubs or a dinner club or what have you, specific membership-based clubs are always a nice opportunity. And again, finding the right one and the right fit is a key. Wine events. This Ete du Vin is a event here in town that is a fundraiser for a nonprofit, but it's a wine event. So you're connecting with people that are very interested in wine and trading different bottles, and they have several different events throughout the year. There's an event in Nashville, believe it or not, that's a polo event called Chuckers for Charity, which is another nonprofit secondary event that they have here in town. And then there's a society event called the Swan Ball that goes on. So again, taking inventory of where those opportunities are. Luxury is a tool that's in your existing data bank. So data bank, right? Do we know what a data bank is, right? It's our database. We say data bank because it really is one of the most strategic and best returns on our time and on our relationships of any other prospecting tool anywhere. And so one of them is this right here. And you may or may not know this. Often people do, but your luxury contacts, it's a 12-2 return versus 50-1 people you don't know or have a prior relationship with, the not mets, right? To find that one sliver of an opportunity, to the, hey, I'm thinking about it, not yes, I want to hire you. That's another identifier from a prospecting thing. The at bat, the opportunity is, yeah, I know someone that I need to introduce to you. That's an opportunity. And then we've got to really dial in our prospecting of, man, that's an amazing thing. Thank you so much. If you were me, how would I connect with them? What's the best way to get us connected? Should we text? Should we call? Always take responsibility for the follow-up. I wanted to reach out, because Ryan told me to call. I want to go ahead and call because Stuart said you needed to hear from me and I wanted to connect with you right away. How's it going? He shared your number. Then we have responsibility, right? Take responsibility, take that action on the prospecting. Luxury, as well as a database-based business, is 12-2. For every 12 calls you make, you find 2 opportunities that we just shared. And so this is a tool that we have. If you'd like it, you can drop us this email right here, info@workwithalex. We'll be happy to send you this accounts pyramid tool. The way we started with this, let me see if it will zoom in here on this next one. Nope, it went away. Hang on, let's go back to it. So this particular tool, as we're here, this accounts pyramid, the way we worked through this is we identified if at the bottom we have bankers and lenders that we know. We have property managers. We have people in the entertainment business, builders, CEOs, whales, etc. And what we did with those is we went through and said, okay, we want to do more business with these people. And who are the ones we know? And we made a list of them, and we're being very intentional about calling them and going, hey, I want to get together with you. Let's have a video conference. Let's have a coffee face to face. Let's have a lunch, what have you, and get together and see how we can help each other. What do you know? Who's the realtor you refer? Who's your backup realtor? I want to know what you're working on so I can help grow you with my data bank, the people that I know, like, and trust to help you grow yours. That is a very unique conversation that next to no one is willing to make that call. But this was one of the ways we started, was we picked a list of people and we started calling through them. And the idea here in the bottom of the pyramid on the prospects piece is specifically based on identifying prospects. Now they move up to top 50 once they've sent and referred at least one lead. Just one lead, they move to your top 50. Okay. The others, the prospects, are people that you want to do business with, right? Or you think have opportunity to do business with you. And that ebbs and flows, right? We go through about a 3 to 5, contact cycle with them over time to really identify if they're going to do business or not. And if they're not, then you can just replace them, right? You can erase and replace and put somebody else in there. But when they do, you've broken through that trust barrier and you move them up into the top 50. And that's when they become, you can really start to focus on. They've shown you they're willing to do it, right? And that they have the ability to refer you. Then you continue to move it on up. They go from top 50. Once they've done more than 4 leads, they become an account. And then once you go up, when you can get to 1 a month, they become a channel account. This was just a nice tool that I really liked to play with. It was very much a physical tool to use to kind of track what we were doing. It took something very abstract and made it very tangible and put it in very specific targeted areas. There's plenty of people. Some of the others that are on here are family law, financial planners. There were sports people that are involved in the sports world. We broke down sports and entertainment separately. So anyway, this is just a nice way to target that. And listen, it's a way to be very strategic when you're making your prospecting calls, to be really strategic. Hey, how can I help you? And you could say very specifically, you know what? I'm looking for the best person in the sports world. Who is it that you know that I should know? And one of my mentors actually was sitting at the bar at a restaurant in Orlando, Florida one day, and an Orlando Magic ticket salesperson just happened to be sitting next to them. And they started talking and became friends. And she just, as we do, casually was like, hey, well, here's my card. If I could ever help, anyone or someone that let me know. Let's stay in touch. 2 days later, she got a phone call and ended up helping the Orlando Magic's new head coach buy a house. Now, how amazing is that? And that turned into an amazing account for her. And because of doing that, she ended up selling because the coach worked with her, she became the one and only for them, and became the one that they worked with, and that the family that owned the Magic started doing business with. And then she all of a sudden was like, well, the one that the Magic, she sold Shaq a house, and she sold Grant Williams a house, and she sold all these Grant Hill a house, and all of a sudden Penny Hardaway. And all of a sudden it turned into, that's what you do. Like, everybody works with her. And then all of a sudden, then some golfers started working with her, and it gained her total market share by simply being aware and asking for the opportunity and following up. And by the way, she would tell you she didn't do an amazing job. Right? It wasn't this amazing, magic wand. She was there and was like, hey, if I could help. I'm like, yep. And, all of a sudden, the next thing she knows, she gets a call from Chuck Daly, and she killed it. She did a great job for Chuck, and, away they went. And that was it. So really interesting story. And I hope this is a nice tool. Again, happy to share it with you if you send us that email there or through one of our socials. So also learning about the art of relationship and networking, reading these books. These are powerful books we use. Again, we've talked about Jack Cotton's book and how to connect. Really powerful. I almost daily, think about things from Jack's book that he shares. Jackson, Cape Cod, and he thinks about some of the different things that they do in their market. Their Networking is Not Working is another really great book that we use often, being very strategic and intentional about things. And then Digital Persuasion, Aaron Cargan King, another amazing story about relationship networking. If you don't know her story, she was literally sitting at home one night watching the Oscars, was bored and hated how the break happened with the Oscars. And she's like, this is super boring when you go to commercial, like we should do something better. They literally called her back and hired her to be a consultant with them full time to this day, which is now why, if you ever happen to watch the Oscars, when they go to commercial break, it goes picture in picture. And you can see what goes on behind the scenes and the celebrations, and they walk off stage and they go to the press corps and all that while the commercial's running in the bottom, that they stay on that live feed with you. And how cool is that? I mean, we are in an era of being the most connected of anyone is reachable within just a few degrees, and thinking like that and having that abundance and that mindset of what your opportunities are and who you can actually connect with is a key step, to building a luxury practice. So a couple other good key recommendations there. So use your social media to deepen and maintain your relationships. Some keys with us as far as our luxury practice was being real specific and writing thank you notes. We've ebbed and flowed with this, but our best has been when we really stand out. Right now, think back to who that was the last person that sent you a handwritten thank you note. Does anybody remember one? I can't quite see everybody. Let me see if I can pause this for a second. Let me stop sharing and see if I can see everyone for a second. There we go. Okay, so, and gallery, got it. There we go. Now I've got everybody. Okay, so is there somebody that remembers? If so, unmute and share somebody real quick. Michael, how about you? You nodded. Jump in there real quick and tell us about who wrote you a handwritten thank you note.
Oh, it was my mom. So I was home to visit with her, and she just sent me a note to say thanks for coming home.
That's amazing, right? And how long ago was that?
2 weeks ago.
So 2 weeks, he can remember that. I hope you remember your mom for more than 2 weeks. To be clear, it's very difficult to teach without all the muted, right? You don't get the good laughs back. You don't get the feedback, the echoing crowd. So we'll have to figure out something with the claps or laughs like they did in the middle of the pandemic with the horns and lights and stuff. But, right? I mean, you got a 2-week set of mind share there because of that thank you note. Someone else have a good thank you note story to share. Michael, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
I have one.
Oh, great. Please go ahead.
I have one. The last thank you note I received was from Michael and from our staff thanking me for my input for our KW Cares.
Boom. Right? And how long ago was that, Debbie?
2 days ago.
Perfect. Well, that
was pretty significant.
Right. But it matters, right? And
Yeah.
before that, how long had it been before you got a handwritten note?
Probably the last one was from Mike thanking me for something else. Mike is great at that.
Brother, clearly you need to write handwritten thank you notes. If you get nothing from this, Mike, start writing handwritten thank you notes. Start with 2 a day. Just start with 2. That's 10 a week. All of a sudden that's 40 a month. Boom. Start doing that. And just a note, just think about it. One of the biggest challenges I have, no kidding, every single day is in my morning meditation and mindset is to go through, I use a book. It's the High Performance Planner, Brendan Bouchard. If you're familiar with him, he's a great guy. And it's very difficult for me when it comes up. Who is someone that I can thank, send a note to or a gift, for being, and I have to really stop and be really present, about who that's going to be. And my best days are days that I actually sit with that, get that out and mailed, right? And get those on. So well done. Anyone else a story about a note before we go? Keep rolling. How are we doing? Is this good pace, good volume, good content? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Yes, my friend, every holiday and birthday. Boom. So thanks, Bernadette. Somebody you know that they're going to do that. Now, I'll tell you this. If you get in the habit of making a call or sending a note or letter on your birthday, I can tell you from personal experience that becomes expected, and it's a bad deal if you don't. So one of my favorite prospecting tools and one of my 36 touches that we use is calling people on their birthdays and making sure we call and reach out on that. Now, the challenge becomes as your data bank grows, you run out of capacity, right? You've got to find a way. And then those people take it kind of personally. There might be somebody when you stand out that you're the only person outside of their immediate family that calls to celebrate their birthday. And I have multiple people that way, and it causes some serious stress in my life and theirs when I don't call. And that can cause, a relationship not to be anchored as well. So putting those things up front and early before the distractions get in. Okay. Let's jump back. I'll jump back in real quick and then we'll come back and keep working. Here we go. There we go. This should do what I wanted it to do. All right. All right. So back to this couple things here. Thank you notes are super memorable. I was in a mastermind at one time and talked with someone who was facilitating it and found out that they were a huge Disney fan. Now, luxury, we talked about, maybe one of your questions is like, gosh, it's expensive to be in luxury. And it can be, and you can spend a lot of dollars in luxury. But this particular person, we were going through and in a mastermind together, and I found out that they liked Disney. And in particular, I sent them 3 custom luggage tags, Disney luggage tags. By the way, that cost a whopping $16 for us to send it to them with their name on it. And I was thrilled to be there. It was a pretty high level mastermind. I think the only reason I was there is because, there weren't a lot of people there. If I'm being honest, right? I think if there'd been more people there, I wouldn't have qualified. But I took the opportunity because I was there. To this day, that man sought me out at the next mastermind. I got to participate in the next mastermind. And let me assure you, he knows exactly who I am. And I have his personal cell phone to this day. And he said, look, if you ever need anything, call me. This was amazing. Thank you. For $16, right? I mean, that is a standout luggage tag amazing moment that just took. He goes, wow, that was great. He goes, thank you. He saw my luggage tag on my luggage that was in the room as we were leaving, and I was like, here you go, thanks. Speaking of thanks, Mega Millions, right? The lottery. No, I'm not telling you to go gamble with people by any means, but I am telling you to find a way to thank you, right? Who doesn't love a scratch off, right? Everyone loves a scratch off, right? Finding and having an opportunity with a scratch off is a great thing, and being able to have one of those is really cool. And so one of our first thank yous when someone refers us is with a handwritten thank you note and including a $1, scratch off, and we say, hey, thanks so much for the referral. And we hope we hit the jackpot just like we did when you chose to refer us and introduce us to someone. Thanks so much. Now, is that cheesy? Maybe. I think it's personal, right? I think it's being enthusiastic and energetic and positive and saying thank you. And we send those things. I didn't know actually, but you have to buy those in cash. So we buy them in bulk. We buy $100 worth of them at one time. We have them sitting in the drawer. And that way, literally right here in my hand, I've got, boom, my stationery ready to go to send someone a referral, and a thank you, and to submit that and to go, hey, thank you so much. Not just say it, take the moment to, one, the thank you note, and two, the scratch off. And who holds on to a scratch off, right? And like puts it in the pocket, or I'll do that later. No, you take action on that like immediately. They're like, awesome, I'm gonna win. We have had people win, and that's cool. And we always say something funny, about, well, you need to split the winnings with us, right? Or something like that. But it's fun. That makes it fun and memorable that they will reward you for that. I also take another step if it happens to be someone out of state, like the lucky referral we're going to get from one of you today to get us over the million for the year. We send a Starbucks card, and we do it in the exact same format. We order at $5 Starbucks and $100 a time, and we have them all sitting in the drawer stacked up. So when it happens, we drop it in there, boom, Starbucks card, away we go. Again, there's plenty to be found at Starbucks, right? If you don't like coffee, fine. They have water and they have fruit smoothies and milkshakes and, a gajillion other things there too. So, or you can give it to a client, but always cementing and deepening those relationships. I hope that's a good idea and a nugget too. So luxury agents love to refer luxury. So being a part of a luxury community and building the luxury community is a really big deal. Keller Williams has gone through some improvements in the past few years with our luxury. As you all are launching that, I highly recommend you get involved in that. We have over 8,600 agents that qualify for luxury because of their production. And there's a lot of resources that you can get as you're learning and building your path to luxury. Tons of things that are available. There's a webinar every single week that's open and available to people where our director of luxury, VP of luxury, Brady Sandall, is an amazing and professional speaker and is fabulous. He's spent time, he worked at Nordstrom's and he's worked at the Ritz, and he is an absolute professional standard of luxury. His language, just listening to Brady talk, will just help you grow your luxury vocabulary. His demeanor and pace and luxury. I tell him this is a lot funnier in person, but Brady and I have a similar hairstyle, and he is significantly taller than I am. And I say Brady is all of those things, and I said I'm half his height but twice the fun, which is absolutely true. Again, if you were here and you could see that he's like 6'4" and I'm 5'6", that would be a whole lot funnier than it is via the Zoom today. But our energy and excitement and enthusiasm is what we lead with. That's part of our inventory that we share to attract people. Brady's is also his professionalism, his demeanor, his approach. That's immediately available right away. So, someone might start facilitating a watch party, right? As you're launching your luxury committee and division, start going to see that together. Start Zooming and watching it together. Why not, right? It's easily done. And that's a powerful thing. Start a book club with some of these books that we've recommended, where you're reading the books and talking back about the books and all that. Interesting $2 million lunch. I talk about, I was sitting at a luxury event recently, and how these events go. Everyone wants to sit with their friends, and when you branch out, I was literally sitting at the table while other people were talking, and watched a $2 million referral go. Oh my gosh, you're in Cleveland? I had no idea. I have someone that just moved to Cleveland, moving their company there. Oh my gosh, really? And they're like, yeah. And well, okay. And they immediately watched it all happen just right there. So you've got to be in that, but luxury is one of the most comfortable about referring luxury agents. So start to build that. And then me. So this is an interesting story. Everyone says, well, how do I get into luxury? Well, luxury is in your database. It's in your data bank. So this is a personal story about me. I'll go, let me click off of this for just a second and go back to the big screen. Here we go. Personal story of mine, one of my first luxury deals, how a $65,000 condo took us into a conversation and into a first round NFL draft pick. So I had been referred this lady. She was a medical practice manager buying a condo for her mother. Now, this is several years ago. But she was buying a condo for her mother. Her mother needed a different place to live, and it was closer to her. And so she's like, I'm going to buy this condo. And, it was a $65,000 condo. It was very nice property, one level. It was great. And I went by to pick up a check. And that's how long ago it was, right? Like back in the day when we used to go pick up checks and like have to hand deliver contracts. And there's probably 6 of us on here that remember that. But so be it. It was a great thing. And I walked into the doctor's office, and I said, hey, Dorinda, good to see you. And she said, hey, meet my friend, Todd. and I was in a huge hurry. Now I'm totally being vulnerable with you guys and not telling you that I was like Superman, like like what we did. Like I totally botched this. And she was like, you should meet Todd. Todd's a great guy. And I was like, hey, Todd, how you doing? Nice to see you. And she said, Todd just sold his house. Now, what did every one of you just do? You were like, I did. You're like, cool. Thanks a lot. I should have met you before, right? Like, thanks for introducing me to that guy. And I was like, yeah, that's great, Todd. Nice to see you. Congrats. How'd it go? He's like, oh, I sold it for sale by owner. Strike two. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, I really don't want to talk to you right now. Like, I'm in a huge hurry. I have to go to lunch. And so I need to go. And I was like, listen, it's really great meeting you. I'm super sorry. I'm in a really big hurry. I need to go. And he goes, yeah. He goes, okay. I said, listen, give me your card. I'll call you in a minute. Now that's a key point, by the way, if you don't do that. I said, let me have your card. Let me, and I'll call you in just a little while. He said, yeah, fine. So he did. I went to lunch, whatever, did what I needed to do. Wasn't in a huge hurry to call him back, and it's 3:30, 3:45, and I was like, oh yeah, shoot, I got to call that guy. And I called him back again, mind you, my average sales price, this was a $65,000 condo. My average sales price at the time was about $250,000. And I called him and I go, hey man, I said, it's Alex from today. He goes, oh, hey, I'm glad to hear from you. And I was like, yeah. So what's up? And he goes like, oh, well, I did sell my house, but I need to buy one. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. What do you want to buy? And he's like, well, I sold these other two houses. I'm going to buy between 800 and $1 million too. And I was like, so that, do the math real quick, right? Like 5 or 6 transactions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just walked away from that guy. And I was like, I'm sorry, where are you right now? can I, are you available this afternoon? Excuse me, sir. Hello. Nice to talk to you. And I screwed up. Like I totally bricked. Right. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, are you available tomorrow? Sure enough, we were. So I go and meet him and do a nice job. Clearly, I did a great presentation. Hello, it's great. What are your goals? Worked through it, did a great job for him. So fast forward a few weeks, same thing comes up. Back in the day, you had to go pick up a check. So I went, hey man, what's up? Good to see you. I need to get your check. He goes, oh, I'm over here at Panera. Now, we went over there and I walk into Panera and there's a guy sitting across the table from him that I clearly recognized. And it's his business partner, but it's a gentleman who was the all-time leading receiver in Tennessee football history, a friend of mine named Joey Kent, who also had a small guy that played a little bit in the NFL, a guy named Peyton Manning, happened to be one of his close personal friends, and the guy he threw the ball to the most while he was in school. And I knew exactly who it was. He's like, this is my friend Joey. And I was like, I know who Joey Kent is. Hi, how are you? And he was like, good. And he's like, I heard you did a good job here. And I was like, yep, sure did. And he was like, well, I need to sell my house and buy another house. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is amazing. So we go through it. It's complicated. Had some stuff, selling their house, buying their house. And it was by the way, it was in the middle of the great downturn. And he loved his house. He just wanted to move it about 400 yards over into a different county. I kid you not. Those are the words. And we did. We also found a house that it was exactly what he wanted, exactly where he wanted. And when we offered, raise your hand if anyone has ever had this, the seller actually countered us for less money than we offered. What the heck? I'm like, okay. And he was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know, but just say yes. Like, like, I don't know. It won't ever happen again. Just say yes. He lives there today. I went to pick up a check with him and he says, hey, I need to introduce you to one of my friends. I said, oh yeah, who's that? And he goes, yeah, one of my teammates from back in the day. And I was like, oh yeah, who's that? He's like, Kevin Dyson, first round NFL draft pick, Tennessee Titans, yard short of winning the Super Bowl. If you happen to remember. And I got introduced to him. Amazing guy, good friend of mine to this day, still to this day. I have texted with him many times backstage at the NFL draft while they've been there, especially the first time he wore a clip-on bow tie. I was like, do not ever go to the draft with a clip-on bow tie. Like, that is offensive to me. Don't do that. And I said, I will go with you. I will come tie it in the green room, but don't do that. And so what I'm saying to you, and I tell you that story, and I'm telling it to be funny, to make this not a, lecture, but what I want you to see is it's all around. It's all around you. Luxury is all around you. It's in the people, in the relationships, in the network, in the opportunities, and the connections that you already have. Another favorite story of mine is going through and talking about, I was teaching this class and having a roundtable with a local YP organization, right? Keller Williams YP is very good and is a good opportunity. I was in a group, we're in Nashville, right? Music City, USA, and lots of connections, literally. Like thank you for the Miley, and like fully Nashville representing, right? And it happens all the time. We see those people because Nashville's cool like that. We're, don't freak out and don't be, weird about the celebrities when they're here. Well, there was a young lady in a YP event one day said, oh my gosh, I want to get into luxury because I want to find this certain artist and I just want to get my hooks in him. I kid you not. Like, thank God she did it, because I can tell you this story today. She's like, I'm going to get my hooks in him. Now, what she didn't know is in that room of 14 people was someone who actually directly worked for that artist. And I knew that. And I looked at the person in the room that works for that artist, and they went like this. And I just let it go. And I told this young lady later, I said, you need to understand that you're only 1 or 2 degrees away from just about anything that you want if you're intentional about it. But you understand, when you say things like, I'm going to get my hooks in him, that is not the approach. That's not the right language. And I told her flat out, I was like, what I want you to know is you were literally 1 degree away from that opportunity, but you didn't know it. And I said, so you got to start acting like that. You got to start thinking about it like that. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about. What's your specific, unique opportunity, right? Not Alex's, because if you can't tie a bow tie, then you don't want to be the bow tie guy, right? If you don't like wearing dress shirts, that, or what have you, go with your natural sphere. The music industry is a great example of it here in Middle Tennessee, right? Music industry people love to work with other industry people because they're creative. They like working with other songwriters or other musicians that are also realtors, and they love working with those same folks. A client of mine actually worked with some of the guys in Old Dominion. You may not be country music people. That's cool, but that's a cool band, and they're really a big deal. And I mean, like, I even freaked. I was like, that's so cool. Like, look at this opportunity. And they're friends because they used to sit in coffee shops and write songs, and they would figure that out. So there's so much opportunity. You just don't ever know where it is. And you've got to be specific and intentional about finding your specific opportunity. What industry had you previously been in? What other life, what other community, what other network do you have opportunities that you can start to layer into? And you can be specific about it, right? You can go the full-on material way, or you can go the other way, which is much more specific and is like, hey, who do you know that's really involved in a nonprofit? Who do you know that's really involved with the art museum? But if you don't like wine, then for sure you don't want to go to a wine event, right? If you don't like horses, I'm scared of them personally. They can step on me. I'm out. Like, I'm not going to horses. They are freaking big. Like, I go up to 5 hands on a 15-hand horse. That is not a good deal for me. I'm out. Like, put me on the other side of the fence. Those dudes are huge. Like, no dice. So, but if you're a horse person, horse people love horses and make that big connection. So does that make sense? Is that giving you some ideas, kind of, shaking something loose? So, anyways, good ideas there. Any questions that come top of mind real quick while I'm at a pause before I pop back up? Somebody get sitting there with something they care to pop on real quick? Jane, I saw you putting your glasses on. Are you doing that for us, or are you texting somebody? Oh, she's good. Oh, she's coming to us. Okay. Maybe she's going to the chat. I hope loves the story. Yeah, everybody loves the stories. Thank you for that, because I feel weird when I get going way down the road. I'm like, they're like, dude, I don't care. But I do think they're interesting, and it helps. It really does help to understand and have that authenticity, that peek behind the curtain, right? I think really makes a big difference. Let's jump back in the thing real quick, and then we'll continue to go back up to your specific questions. If I can figure out, share screen, here it is. and back to Chrome and share. Here we go. All right. So we talked about that $2 million lunch. Yeah. So path to luxury, what you focus on expands. So assess yourself. This is great timing. This is why these slides exist, to keep me on track. So I'm not Ron Burgundy, like, I'm reading the teleprompter. Just read the teleprompter, Alex. So assess yourself, your marketing, your market center, your time, your focus. How much can you commit to this, right? Every little bit, 1% better every day matters, right? If you want to start doing thank you notes, if you want to start making 2 calls a day to increase your data bank with luxury people, that's a way to do this. Who is it that you know? Who's your banker? Who's your financial planner? Who's your estate attorney? Who's the person that has a boat or an expensive car, has a watch collection, or buys custom clothes, or whatever it may be. There's a gajillion different things. As a member to one of the dinner clubs or one of the country clubs, or any of that is a great place. Learn about the affluent, how they think, long-term ideas, embracing change, taking calculated risk. Start to learn how and how they think and where to connect with them. Read all that you can. There's so much information available, between books and podcasts and streams. We publish stuff all the time on our various socials, both to our realtor community. We even have a specific agent network email that we send out that we're talking about tactics that have worked well, or things that we've connected with that we've had success with, or how we've found and connected with a recent client, a tactic. We share those things. Happy to have you, on those lists, and would happily add you. Just, email us or connect with us on one of our socials that way. But read all you can. I love the idea of start a luxury book club in your market center. I think that's an amazing idea. I think you could even invite agents outside of your market center for profit share purposes, right? Have them coming to you. We're reading this book. We're building luxury. Let's talk about these books, and just host it, right? Just let it be organic and natural. Be great to work with. Now, I think this is a critical time right now, and I don't know your particular market dynamics, but I can bet you that it is extremely competitive, and it is extreme, and things are happening much faster than ever before. And I will tell you, what's new, what's old is new again, because being good to work with is a key part to being in business and luxury. We had, I'll tell a story here in just a second, but we pulled off a very high profile sale with a very public figure with great privacy, primarily because we are great to work with. Because my company, my great team that we're with, and my business partner that helps drive our business and makes it go and allows me to do wonderful things like this and share time with you all, causes us to have an amazing relationship, to be great communicators, to be professional, to be a pleasure to deal with. It's not us versus them. It's us together for all of our clients, goals. And don't forget that, right? But being great to work with really, really matters. Clients can figure it out if you aren't good to work with. And, and agents know that too, because they don't want to work with you. Classic is always classy. So I'll share this story. I've got one more slide here to go to. Yep, connect with me. So those are our socials. So I'll go to the story to tell you about that, and then we'll go to your some of the specifics. So all that to see. So I got a call talking about being great to work with, right? There's a client of ours, very high profile public figure in the entertainment industry. And one Sunday afternoon, I got a call about 4:45. And it was in the late fall, early winter, and it gets dark here. I know it gets dark there, right? And everyone starts to kind of, and I was like, what? Who is calling me? Why are you calling me? And I saw my friend, right? My buddy from one of, an event much like this. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he's whispering. He's like, hey, Alex, how are you? It's Kevin. And I was like, hey, Kevin. And I was like, what? Are you okay? I'm like, are you getting murdered? Like, what the hell is going on? Do I need to track you? And he's like, no, I'm good. Listen, I'm in an open house. And I'm like, okay. Why are you calling me from? He goes, no, I'm in an open house in Nashville. And I was like, okay. And he goes, and my brother's here. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. And I was like, so you're with your brother? And he's like, yep. And let's just say it's Superman, right? So Superman, and I got Clark Kent with me. So it's Kevin and Clark Kent, right? And he's like, hey, I got Clark Kent with me. And I was like, Okay. And he goes, we got this house. We're in this house and he wants to buy it. And I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, but we're with another agent and they're not going to get this deal for us. We're going to lose it. We need you to get involved. Now, again, why that happens to me, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but they're in another open house to write a deal with another agent with a house that's already getting ready to sell. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. I'm like, where are you? And I write down the address and I look it up and I call the agent and I called the agent and the agent was like, hey, listen, I've got offers already. It's probably going to sell. And I was like, well, you're in the house right now, right? He's like, yep. And I said, you see that Superman's there, right? And he was like, yeah. And he goes, Superman wants to buy the house. And he goes, oh, he goes, well, that might change things. And I'm like, right. And he goes, but what are you going to do with? And I said, yeah, I'm going to deal with that agent. We're going to pay that agent a referral fee. I will deal with that. We're going to make this right. But understand. And he goes, I hear what you're saying. And we pulled that off. Like that deal happened and we paid the agent that they were with a referral fee. We got to the agent who's a listing agent who had 2 offers already. In fact, told us it was probably going to sell, but we got our client that opportunity for one reason only. Because we were good to work with, because we had a plan and the guy knew we were going to be professional and keep our small world of luxury agents together and happy, and it happened and it closed. I won't tell you the rest of the story because it was difficult to get it done. but we pulled it off, and it's great, such that we can call back, and we still do call back and get referrals from them and their friends and their vendors, and that's another thing. But a key to this whole luxury process, guys, is luxury starts with who you already have, and then you can expand it to be intentional and up your market that way through the people that you already know, like, and trust, right? The people, their providers, all of the folks that they know, their bankers, their attorneys, their whomever, right? Their custom car detailers, their golf pro, their this, all of that network is a key piece to expand. Just this morning, I referred a dog trainer that costs over $3,000 to train their dog, while a client of mine was cussing at his dog that was nipping his heels with his little puppy needle teeth, and I was like, I've got a good dog trainer. And he was like, for sure. Oh my God, send it right now. Like, it was immediate need, right? And being that person with that connection, I know exactly what that is. Like, you may know exactly what that is if you've ever felt those puppy needle teeth on your ankle. You need that dog referral quite quickly. Okay. Well, that is where we are. I will let you jump in here and unmute and ask questions as we work through some of your all's individual things. Yes, you can see a copy of our listing presentation, Debbie. Happy to share that. I will share as we go, and as someone decides to pop on here. We will. The listing presentation is an interesting thing. I believe, and I just posted in another network recently, that's always a conversation. I will say the resources that we have at Keller Williams Luxury right now are really excellent. There's some really excellent ones that are out there that are in the templated, that are professionally designed, that are specifically designed with design and all of the different personality types of luxury out there to appeal to all of them. For the super high D and the super high, and if you don't know about disc, that's a whole nother class that you can talk to the Market Center about, going through and talking about that. But knowing those leading personality styles that they go through, but that super high D, super high driver detail, I'm not detail, but specific, give me numbers, get it done, people, you've got to have part of the presentation that just can pivot straight to those folks. And there's other super sensitive, sensitive feeling people that really got to talk about, we're going to really market your house and tell the story and show the family life and how wonderful it feels to live here, right? And the eyes that are super, people. Look at all the friends that are going to be in this neighborhood and all the people that you can have over. Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. Everyone in this neighborhood loves to get together every single Thursday night. There's drinks in the driveway and everyone gets in the golf carts and goes to the clubhouse and, down by the pool and blah, 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 whatever. But all of that, matters to the different personality types. I'll just simply say, Debbie, I have found, and what we use is kind of a blend of that. We show them what we're going to do, who we're going to do. The balance is, and NAR's new study says this, more than 75% of people listing agents only call one person. So what that means primarily is you've got to be first and you should be referred. I think we think the bigger market is they're doing 15 interviews. And, I just don't think that's the case. I personally don't know and haven't heard of anyone interviewing more than 3 people at any point in time. The exception I can think to that was a developer in the past 2 years went through and hired someone. And then anyway, they wronged him and he went through a process and he went through 20 to make his final selection. But that was a very unique situation that they were doing that. So, okay. Anybody got a question live that they want to put on mute on and jump in on while I scroll back through? Go ahead if you do. Luxury meeting clientele implementation. I just registered for the Cleveland Network. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's somebody. I see you go into that. Okay, great. Birthday card from friends. So most valuable luxury opportunity. So I think there's some really interesting thing regionally, nationally. To that point, Jamie, I see what you've asked there. And Debbie, that's something that we have in our presentation, at least for us. And I don't know about your market center dynamics. One of the unique advantages that we have with Keller Williams Music City and Keller Williams Luxury in Nashville is specifically our local, state, regional, national, and international exposure. Now, you may be able to use that as your secret weapon too. I'm giving you a full on, man behind the curtain moment here. That's one of our secret weapons is we have a lot of boutiques. We have a lot of boutiques that aren't tied to a national brand. And Nashville is very much a national and international targeted city. And so when we start talking and having and sharing our conversation, we expand it quite quickly beyond our local network, which is just as robust as anyone else, to our regional, state, regional, national, and then international stuff. I mean, I have over 500 agents from Europe that we're connected with from having been a speaker at Keller Williams Family Reunion France in 2020. And that's a powerful tool that, they saw us doing and teaching and, sharing things and communicating and staying in touch with them. Find another agent that has that capacity. It does get that exposure. They do want to share and show those properties because it gives them good content and it helps them stand out. So I think that's an interesting piece, but that's it just depends on the individual needs. There are times in luxury in particular that specific clients want to see it in certain high society magazines. Everyone's got that print guide, right? I don't know what it's called in your town, but there's a high-end brand of that everyone wants to see their thing in. Now I can tell you locally, it does not sell homes here. So what we do is we publish and we actually use the Keller Williams Luxury magazine as an ad. One, because it's cheaper, and two, it has bigger exposure than that local magazine does. But occasionally, Jamie, you go, I haven't seen you in that magazine. You got to get into that conversation, like just own that conversation quite quickly and go, take that emotional conversation and take some tactic to it. By the way, you see, John Robinson in that at John Robinson Inc. And yep, he has great market share, but does he have 170,000 partners like I do in 32 countries? How about 8,600 agents that sell over $1 billion worth of real estate a day? That's a big conversation, right? When you're talking about the luxury division that sells $1 billion, that's $1 billion in sales a day. So that's a big conversation. That's one of the reasons, that we have and really need to promote and talk about our numbers and our opportunity that Keller Williams Luxury International actually has, telling our story. We sell as much or more as anyone. We have a higher productivity numbers on agents. You see agent count at some of these other companies, but productivity per agent is through the roof with Keller Williams. So I say that to you to say that, that I saw that was some of the questions, but the specifics, there's a lot of different marketing pieces. Most of what we spend our time on and our dollars on and our pitch on is proactive marketing, as opposed us doing outbound stuff, as opposed to reactive, it coming to us and spending a lot of money. You could get the house, you can get the house in Mansion Global, but then you have to, where is it? Well, I don't know. I mean, and some of that in luxury, it already posts there, right? In your certain market center based on your region, luxury listings above a certain barometer automatically go into the Wall Street Journal, into Mansion Global, into Proxio Pro, and some of those things that get you that big international exposure. Knowing that and telling that and promoting that is a big, powerful tool. But then, as we were talking about earlier with the open houses, then what? Well, you ran that ad and now you're accountable to it. So I think you got to be real careful about what your promises are at the luxury level, because you're going to have to back that up. To that question, and Debbie, I remember you asking me, so I bet you thought I'd forget, but I didn't. I got lucky that I looped it back in there in the conversation. But what I will say is, have real conversations in a regular way about how often you're going to update them on the market. What kind of regular communication would you like? Would you like it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Let's talk about, and what do you want to see? Let's talk about what the market, really has, and what we can do, what's it done, and just go right at it. Hey, by the way, here's your weekly update. There's 3 new homes on the market. 2 went under contract. I don't know if you have this capacity, but one of our best tools has been tracking the number of showings that are happening in the price category. So one of the things we do, because people get frustrated without having a real specific conversation, they're like, well, the market's going crazy. The market's going crazy. Why can't you sell my house? It has to be you. Because number one, it's not ever them. Number 2, it's never their house, right? Because their house is special. And so that leaves one thing. So we have to come back to them and talk about, here's what's happening in the market. Here's what happened in the last 7 days, 14 days, 30 days. In a different market, we've been quite intentional about having what we call our Tuesday updates. And we would do a Tuesday update every single day. And we would go through and pull, here's what's happened in the market. And it was active show. Here's how many homes are active, how many homes went under contract, how many of them actually closed, and, the number of showings. We have the capacity to track the number of showings. So we can say, hey, good news. We only had 2 showings, but there were only 3 in the whole price category. Right? So all of a sudden now you're coming back to them and going, good news. We had 2/3 of the market share. Or it can go the other way. Hey, we only had 2 showings, and bad news. There were 38 showings and we only got 2 of them. 3 of them went under contract. We missed our opportunity. Let's talk about a price reduction. Right? That's probably not where we are quite yet, but that'll happen again. Right? We'll be in those markets again sooner than we know it. So did that help you with the open house questions and ideas and kind of communication standards there? Maybe. Okay, good. I got a couple thumbs up. Let's go back up. Let's see. Let's see. Tips when working with a luxury client. So how to maintain luxury clients and buy or sell. So, I think language that Brady uses all the time is surprise and delight, right? That's a lot of Ritz language. That's a lot of Nordstrom language, but surprise and delight clients. Find your opportunity. My friend that I told you about, in Orlando that worked with the Magic, she primarily outside of that test case deal, that she got, she knew that he was busy. He knew that he had to get in and had to start coaching, and they started traveling all the time. She literally made sure that his house was unpacked, and she knew his key snack foods, his favorite snack foods. And to this day, I know what they are. They're Cheez-Its. And she made sure that he had 5 or 6 Cheez-Its in boxes of Cheez-Its in the pantry, because she knew when he would come home, he was not going to have food to do, but he had them in the car, right? So little wows like that. Thinking 45 minutes before the showing, hey, I'm going to Starbucks before. What can I get you? and fight through the no, 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 we don't need anything. No, 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 I'm going. What would you like? Right? We maybe y'all don't have that, but we've got the national what we call the Nashville nice, where people are like, oh no, I don't need anything. And we're like, yes, you do. Like, stop it. Stop being Nashville nice. Like, what is it? What do you want? Water. Like, let me bring you water. But there's great reason for that, right? It sets the showing differently. It's more hospitable. You're breaking bread. You're bringing. I mean, who doesn't want an extra, coffee throughout the day? What a great surprise! What a great treat! Like, what about who else is coming? Those little nuggets really make a big difference. When we had a really great luxury listing, we often ask when we set the showings, what order are we in the number of showings you're having? How many houses are you going to show today? And often we'll go, we're seeing 6, and you're number 5. And we know this from another agent, another friend of ours. They found that out. And there was a hockey player that was in town. They were seeing 6 showings. They were going to buy a house that day. They knew they were number 5. They knew that it was late in the day, and it was like 5:30 to 6:30 when they were going to be there. So, that's dinner time, right? It's time to eat. And he had real quickly ran out and got 2 3-foot-long subs and a bunch of drinks, and had them sitting out on the counter, had a nice little spread real quick, nothing super special and fancy. He didn't have a chef there. Like, it wasn't like an omelet bar or something, it was nothing like that. No carving station. He went and got Subway, and the guy literally came in starving, going 100 miles an hour on the 5th showing, which is a lot, by the way, especially on big houses, sat down, bellied up to the bar, started eating, and was like, this is the one. This will do. Because why? It was comfortable. They stayed longer. He spent $4 million because of a $4 foot-long sandwich, because it was Tuesday. They were cheap. I mean, it was a deal. And so thinking about that, anticipating what can we do, it's not so much how much, it's what can you do to make it stand out. People are flying in to come in, late, and having a wine and cheese, set up. If they drink, you got to be careful. If you don't know that they drink, that might be offensive. So asking great questions is how you really start to do amazing luxury service and client experiences. Asking. In our client questionnaire, our first client questionnaire literally says, what are your favorite snack foods? What's your favorite type of food? And we need to know that, right? Because when they're here on their buying trip, we need to make sure we get them a good referral to where they need to go, or where they need to stay, which is close to that place, which makes an experience totally different experience. It doesn't cost us that much more, right? But knowing their top 2 or 3 comfort foods, or what they have to have, or what have you. We have a big major migration out of California and Chicago, New York, etc. That's a key piece right now, right? Is knowing Californians are struggling with the wine selection in Nashville. It is not the same. Like, they're struggling with the seafood. Like, duh, we're landlocked. Like, we don't have it, but we do have some unique things. They're used to some super fresh sushi. And so you got to be like, okay, like it takes a minute, but there's some places that'll be, good enough. So questions, thoughts. Did we hit everything? Did I miss anybody's? I had 11 showings scheduled for my Cincinnati clients relocating Cleveland, parents, kids, had a Cleveland reusable storage bag. Cool, right? I mean, know that, right? Know that they're coming in and they're staying in, having that gift basket ready to go for those comfort foods, having a bunch of waters in there. Oh my gosh. So they're not $15 at the hotel that they're in, having a bottle of Fiji water, a case of Fiji water in there makes a big difference, stuff like that. So good stuff. Thoughts, comments, feedback, questions. I'm happy to stay here and talk a little bit more. I don't want to overrun or overstay our time. And I'm happy to continue the conversation, and I want to make sure we hit it all and talked about all of it with you guys. But I also know we have some time. Someone's camera's not working. Did I miss anybody's specific question? Everyone got something valuable? Let me say this differently. What's the most valuable thing? What's the thing that stood out the most? Let's take 3. Your ahas. I don't know if I told you, this is the participatory part. I can see you. I will start to call on you. Sophie, tell me something. You participated a bunch. Tell me something that you thought was great.
Yeah, so I definitely liked you're focusing on the client experience. You're not just, selling their house and doing a good job selling their house, but you are paying attention to what kind of experience they have throughout that process. And also really focusing on your reputation with the other agents. Because even if you don't have a great agent in front of you, if you're an awesome agent, the deal can go through very smoothly. And if your clients know that, so they get a lot of comfort from that. Those are like my top two that really stuck with me. The other one is really thinking about like your sphere and who that's not necessarily in your database as a client who could refer and be a referral partner. So I'm like, there are actually many more people than I would have thought of.
Perfect. That's amazing. Thank you for jumping in there. Thank you for participating. And I could see your audible laughs, or not visual laughs. So that was good. That helped me throughout the day too. So thank you for that. And I'll say this, right? Like, think about, it's much easier to make a phone call. And this is actually in Jack's book, right? In Jack Cotton's book. When you get that luxury listing, you're going to talk about how you're going to make outbound dials, right? And when you're making outbound dials from them, right, you get that luxury listing, or you partner with an agent who has a luxury listing and you help work with them. You can be the organic side of it, right? A real specific takeaway tactic is going, hey, I'm going to make outbound dials. Who do you, not about selling your house to your banker, but I'm going to call your banker and say, hey, Superman's house is for sale. You know Superman, right? Yeah, I'm Superman's banker. Fantastic. So now I'm calling in, you're calling in, and you work at that level. You've now implanted yourself in that banker's mind at that person's level forever. And then you're calling them to go, not, hey, do you want to buy it? It's who do you know that might know someone that might buy it? And then it's just a contact sport. All you're doing is working the telephone game, and you're growing your database, right? By being very specific and very strategic and intentional, calling them. And then you go, hey, who do you know? Who are two people you know? And they give you two, and then you call them. And now you've called in and you're like, hey, the banker told me to call you. And they're like, awesome. What's up? And now you've come in at that level with the banker too. Does that make sense? Right? To see how you're growing it from who you already know and already like and trust. I mean, calling that, most of the time, the clients will be happy to do anything they can to help sell the house. Right. And they'll tell you, here's my banker, here's my attorney, here's my tax accountant, here's my golf pro, here's the, the car, my car detailer that shows up, here's my this, here's my that. What about the, whatever. Here's the hostess at the dinner club that I go to. Here's that, whatever, the director of membership, here's my luxury car person that I deal with on a regular basis. Like, all of those people, all of a sudden you start building your arsenal and making those calls, and then you get to meet them, you get to fold in, and off you go. So great job. I mean, and being great to work with is critical. It's critical. Really a big deal. Data bank. Yeah. People you've worked with, for sure. Talking about that, like industries you've previously worked in, whatever it is. Any industry is a absolute connector. It does not matter. Right? Every single industry you can be now, you now have a huge advantage because they know you, they like you, they trust you, and have perspective for them. Somehow, some way, we've gotten in the oil business, right? We've gotten connected with this oil company, and they know that we get it. We know how they work and how they travel, and the places they've been, and it's a small community world out there. So one more, who else would like to share one more thing?
I'll just say I love the book recommendations. I think that's such a powerful way to come back to what is working, or what we ought to be doing in this bucket.
I totally agree with that. And there's so much language and mindset, right? Just the little things that, think about it. I mean, some of it at this point for us is, I really love the service side and the surprise and delight, right? And want to buffer that and really surprise people and make cool things happen. Just earlier this year, we did a virtual showing on a $2.5 million house. The people bought it sight unseen through a FaceTime showing, and then they flew in to see it. cross country, came in to see it. And I was like, you know what? Like, they're going to be traveling in, like, this is super stressful. Like, they're going to need a little bit. And you know what? I went on the way past one of the nice, grocery stores and picked up a bouquet of flowers and a pack of beer and said, hey, cheers, to both. And, fresh flowers in the house made a big difference. And that was on the doorstep on the way in, like, welcome, right? It totally changed the energy and the presence. And they weren't even across the threshold of the door. Right. I mean, it changed the tone and the feel. The same is true with when you're popping up showings, like how many showings, knowing that you're doing them, and doing them in the morning, you're going to bring, a coffee, an extra, cup of coffee, or late in the day, or if it's really, really hot, or if it's going to be hot, you're doing a walkthrough and, it doesn't have the air on, like bringing a bunch of cold waters makes a big difference, and bringing a bunch of them, right? They're bringing them for them superintendent, for the other realtor, and all this. And like, now all of a sudden you're facilitating and hosting something, even on the showings that we have, because of that Subway sandwich story with the hockey player. We tell that story often, and often we are planning some kind of hospitality in the house. Something, waters. I've got a little silver tray that goes in the back of my car, sits in the trunk most of the time, and it looks really nice. It's a 2-story thing, and we have a bunch of prepackaged individual things that we pop on there, and you will not believe how much longer that gets people to stay. It's like the old slice and bake cookies that you used to do with folks, right? And going through and literally telling people slice and bake before they come, put them in there. Now nobody wants those because people breathed all over them, and all that. But I've sold a bunch of houses, the back in the day that people bought them because they were hungry, because they were looking at them at lunch, and you'd sit there and eat 4 cookies and they'd be like, this is the house. Now you got to have a little bit of package and, and all that. So having a couple of those little extra things make a big deal. And Cheez-Its are generally one of the prepackaged things, but you can get a lot of that, cheeses and little things that make a little difference. We do those nice bars that they sell at Starbucks. I do not own a Starbucks or stock in it, but it's just convenient, right? And it's easy, and it's got that upper feel, right? It's not something, questionable. What else? Has this been good? I got a thumbs up. Yeah. Debbie's she's trying to unmute there.
So this has been absolutely terrific, Alex. I think I had a lot of aha moments, but I'm wondering, in Nashville during COVID, are you doing, sometimes when we have a fancy home, we'll do a fancy wine and cheese gathering, or I always did brokers opens where I served lunch. So we're rarely having brokers opens now, but for luxury houses, are you doing special, exposing it to the marketplace, inviting, 10 or 20 realtors that are in that sort of niche market?
So it depends is the answer. And we are doing it. It is happening here. It just really depends. There is no one size fits all. I think COVID has caused us to be custom.
Yes.
And I think that's the right language. I just made that up. It kind of sounded good though. So COVID has caused us to be custom, individual things. We can't batch it anymore. It's got to be custom specific things. If you have someone who's really super virus sensitive, you for sure can't do that. Whether it's on the seller side or the agent side or the buyer side, you've got to go the other way and be super, super, super custom. I literally had to separate an agent. I had a buyer who walked into a house, and my buyer misbehaved and fussed at the listing agent, but for not wearing a mask through COVID. And happened to be that his wife was high risk. And mind you, he did not say it in a Southern way. He was not as polite, kind, generous, or mindful as he would, but he was fearful, and he was extremely aggressive because of this person's choices. And my recommendation is to be kind and mindful and gracious. And what do you prefer? And ask those questions on the front end. So I think back to your question, without getting off into story, I kid you not, I literally had to separate them. It ruined a $3 million showing because they were bickering. about something that had nothing to do with the house. It was over. It was a good fit. It was a good fit. It was a good fit for all. The agent and the client got in their own way for their own issues. I literally sent the client out the back door. I was like, just leave. I'll deal with this. Like, I'll deal with it. Like, oh my gosh. True story. So,
But during COVID, that listing agent should have had a mask on.
I don't disagree with you.
No.
I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to take the high road. And I think the best habit that I can teach you all is to ask a bunch of questions. No one anywhere ever asks, how many showings are you going on? What number are we? Right? They wait till you're 5 minutes late and go, are you still coming? Right? Anyone that laughed has had that happen to them. Like, you're 5 minutes late. Where are you? I have somewhere to be. I'm like, dude, we scheduled it for an hour. Like, we'll be there. Chill out. Like, take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Like, just breathe, y'all. And so, right, you've been there. And so my point to you, back to you, is like, ask great questions. By the way, how are you? Are you comfortable or you're not comfortable? Do you want other people there or not comfortable? You know, would you like us to get out of the way? Would you like us to guide you on the tour, or would you like some privacy? That makes a big difference, because you show up and someone's planning to show you. I had this happen full on, no joke. I showed up. It was February. It's cold in Nashville in February. And we showed up to this house. This agent had sold their value. This luxury agent had sold their value of guiding the tour. In advance, I told the agent, I said, you need to know this client does not enjoy being guided. They would like to tour the home privately. Please say whatever you need to say at the door, and then please give us a minute, because I'm telling you, this client does not enjoy being guided. Well, I'm sorry, Alex, like, I'm going to guide you. And I said, well, I'm telling you, that's not going to go good. So what's our job here? Like, our job is to put my people together with your people. You're telling me this is important to you. I'm just telling you, please be mindful. This will not go well. So we showed up at the house and the door is locked and there's 4 other cars there. So what's that mean? There's another showing happening. And I knock on the door. No one comes to the door. And I called the guy, screened, straight to voicemail. And finally, like, I kept knocking. Like, I was like, dude, it's cold. Like, we're here. He had mismanaged his schedule and had double booked and all this other stuff. And then it turned into this whole thing. And I was like, dude, like, all that's fine, but we're here right now. Like, we need to come in. Like, it's 22 degrees. It's snowing. Like, dude, we let us in. And I'm like, fine, do your thing. But, like, you know, anyway, he got so upset. But when we disarmed it, I was like, this isn't about you. This is about them and putting and matching people. Tell us if you need to present, tell us and present in the front, in the entry, and then let us go. Right? Let us go see and tour the house, because otherwise the whole time they're just trying to get away from you. And if that hasn't happened, like, I promise you. So ask great questions, ask them those things. Debbie, I don't know if that's where you wanted me to go with all that, but I think you have to ask great questions. Ask the client, do you want this to be, you know, guided? Do you want us to do it? We do a great thing that we believe in, the launch, right? Having a big launch event, right? Having it open, having an open house on a Thursday night when we launch it. We typically launch our listings on Wednesday. Then we have a launch on Thursday that has an event around it. It's open and, you know, kind of hospitality. But again, that's become custom, because, you know, you used to be able to go get a big thing of Chick-fil-A nuggets and everyone would pop 3 or 4 of those and they'd jam their hand in them, and, you know, that was fine. And no mas, like, that doesn't happen anymore. So I think those things can be good. I think it just depends, and you just have to be mindful, because something really good in one place could be really bad for the very next person. So we just choose to be mindful and considerate and accommodate all as best we can. So what else? Sophie had to go. That's great. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Awesome. Alex, I was just going to say you were amazing. I think there's a ton of love for you in the chat box here. And yep, then now there is more coming.
There it is. There's the love.
Is there anything you want to leave us with here, Alex?
What's that? Say that again.
Is there anything you want to leave us with today?
You know, I'll leave you with this. I think a lot of people, at least it's my experience, and I encourage you to take a moment right now before you launch off into the rest of your day. Write down, take a minute, turn to the back of the page wherever you've taken notes, and write down the 3 big takeaways and ahas that you will actually do. Please don't take this to your smart corner and let it grow your smart corner idea. Actually take just a minute before you launch off into the rest of your day. Take the 1, 2, or 3 really good ideas, write them down, put them there, and then, you know, those will be the things that you do before you take the next class or before you to go to do the next thing to improve your practice. That will really help you advance just 1% more, because that's what it's about. We have so many good ideas, so much opportunity in real estate. I would encourage you. One of my mentors did that. That's a habit that I have, and I hope you take that both with me and with any other class you ever take ever again, because there's probably a nugget. There's probably plenty of things that you said that I don't agree with. You don't agree with me, and that's fine. Again, we're here for that. But take the thing that you could do, you know, and the thing that you did like that you can apply, and put that in there. But it's my absolute pleasure. I hope, really hope, it's my hope that it's great and that I can help you all launch this luxury division in your market center. And I have made this really approachable, and I hope to come back as much as I possibly can to help you guys. So
Great, Alex. Thank you. One more time from all of us here, so we don't all unmute and embarrass ourselves here. Yeah, there's like clapping in here. So thank you again, and I am going to send you out with Miley Cyrus. So talk to you guys all later. Have a great day.